A cyborg from the year 2029 walked into a biker bar in Los Angeles, took a shotgun off the first man who pointed one at him, and rode out into the night on a stolen Harley-Davidson carrying a gun that had been out of production for nearly 100 years. He then flipped that gun one-handed on a moving motorcycle, cocked it mid-ride, and fired it at a liquid metal killing machine in a storm drain. That was the T-800 in Terminator 2. And that spin cock is still the most iconic weapon moment in action cinema history. Not the most powerful, the most iconic. And the reason it almost did not happen involves a design argument from 1887, two different prop guns on the same set, and Arnold Schwarzenegger nearly breaking 3 fingers on the wrong one. The Winchester Model 1887. That is the gun. And if you are wondering why a machine from the future grabs a shotgun that was already over 100 years old when the film was shot, the answer starts with a man who did not want to build it. John Moses Browning was the most gifted firearms designer in American history. That is not a debatable statement. He had already given Winchester the Model 1873 lever-action rifle and the Model 1886 when the company came to him with a new brief. Build us a repeating shotgun. Browning's answer was immediate: pump action, simpler mechanism, more reliable, better suited to a shotgun in every way. Winchester's vice president T.G. Bennett said no. Winchester was a lever action company. The gun had to be lever action, and that was final. Browning thought Bennett was wrong. He was correct. He built it anyway, delivered the Model 1887 within less than a year, and the very first one off the production line, serial number 1, was sold to Henry Ford, who gave it immediately to his friend Henry Firestone, founder of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. That gun is now in the Cody Firearms Museum at the Buffalo Bill Center of the West in Wyoming, which is exactly where a gun owned by 2 of the richest men in American history should end up. The 1887 was the first truly successful repeating shotgun ever manufactured, and it deserves that. Before it, a lawman on the frontier carried a double-barrel break action, 2 shots, then a full manual reload, while whatever was trying to kill him waited. The 1887 gave him a 5-round tubular magazine and a lever that ejected the spent shell, cocked the hammer, and chambered the next round all in one motion. 12-gauge and 10-gauge, black powder shells. It sold from May 1887 to March 1899. 64,855 guns. And then smokeless powder arrived. The rolling block action turned out to be too weak for the higher pressures, and the lever-action shotgun era ended almost as quickly as it began, exactly as Browning had predicted when Bennett overruled him. Browning went on to design the pump-action Model 1897, which proved his original point so thoroughly it became one of the greatest shotguns ever built. Bennett never publicly admitted he was wrong. These things happen. And here's a detail that almost nobody knows. Browning himself never saw the finished Model 1887 in his lifetime. He left on a Mormon missionary trip to the southern states in March 1887, 2 months before the gun entered production, and only encountered it for the first time in the window of a sporting goods store somewhere in the South. He walked in, picked it up, cycled the action rapidly, and his companion had to explain to the completely baffled store owner that the man handling the gun had invented it. The greatest firearms designer in history met his most famous shotgun as a stranger in a shop window. And here is where it gets interesting, because by the time James Cameron needed this gun for Terminator 2, nobody on Earth was making it anymore. Principal photography started October 1990. Winchester had not produced a Model 1887 in over 90 years. The Norinco reproduction did not exist until 2002. Aldo Uberti was not making one. So the armorers working through Stembridge Gun Rentals had to go out and physically hunt down pristine original Victorian antiques from private collectors, then strip them completely and rebuild them from scratch. 4 hero guns, all genuine original Winchester shotguns in 10 gauge. Not copies, actual antiques. Each one got a custom 18.5-inch aluminum barrel sleeved to 12 gauge for blank cartridge firing, and the stock cut to a 4.5-inch pistol grip. And here is the detail most people have never heard, because the production needed two completely different versions of this gun for two completely different reasons, and that distinction is what nearly put Schwarzenegger in hospital. The first version was called the Rosebach shotgun by the production crew, stored in a box of roses in one of the film's scenes, running a standard lever for all the two-handed sequences. Normal, functional, no drama. The second version had a custom enlarged loop lever built specifically for one thing: the one-handed spin cock on the motorcycle. And if you are wondering why a custom loop was non-negotiable, the answer is physics. A standard 1887 lever is too small to rotate around a closed fist at speed. The enlarged loop gave Schwarzenegger just enough clearance to swing the gun downward, let the lever drop open under gravity and momentum, then swing it back up to close the action and cock the hammer, all without releasing his grip. A metal plate was added to the inside of the loop to stop the lever cutting into his palm during repeated takes. The technique came from Chuck Connors, who performed one-handed lever cocking in the 1950s television series, The Rifleman. Cameron borrowed it, put it on a Harley at 60 miles an hour, and handed it to a cyborg. And then, during production, something went wrong that Cameron himself confirmed on the director's commentary. And it is one of the best behind-the-scenes stories in action cinema. Schwarzenegger accidentally picked up the standard Rosebach shotgun instead of the large loop version, and he attempted the spin cock anyway. He nearly broke 3 fingers. The take was completely unusable. Both guns were on set simultaneously throughout the entire shoot, visually almost identical, and your brain cannot tell them apart on screen because there is nothing to tell you to look for the lever. You just see the T-800 flip a shotgun one-handed at speed, and you believe it. That is what 4 hero guns, a Victorian antique, a custom lever loop, a palm safety plate, and an actor willing to absorb real blank recoil until Cameron was satisfied actually looks like when it works. And now the part you have been waiting for. Why was this gun so deadly? Not the spin cock, the gun itself, 10 gauge. That is the answer. The original 1887 was chambered in 10 gauge, which fires a larger projectile than a standard 12 gauge. More shot, more spread, more stopping force. The cut barrel reduces effective range significantly. You are not reaching out to 50 yards with a sawed-off Victorian antique, but inside 15 yards, which is the distance of every single firefight this gun appears in across the film. A 10 gauge blast from an 18.5-inch barrel is one of the most devastating events a human body can experience. The T-800 uses it in corridors, in the storm drain, at near contact range in the steel mill. Every engagement happens inside the gun's lethal window, and the machine never operates outside it. That is not action movie convenience. That is a character making correct tactical decisions with a weapon it understood the moment it picked it up. And what happened after the film came out proved that the rest of the world understood it too. Terminator 2 came out in July 1991 and grossed $519 million worldwide against a budget of $94 to $102 million. The highest grossing film of 1991 and the most expensive film ever produced at the time. And after it came out, something happened that nobody at Stembridge Gun Rentals had planned for. The Winchester 1887, out of production for nearly a century and known primarily to serious collectors, became the most recognizable lever-action shotgun on Earth. Chiappa Firearms introduced their 1887 reproduction partly in direct response to post-T2 demand. The Cimarron Terminator, a clone branded explicitly around the film, entered production and is still being sold today. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 featured it in 2009, and the online community immediately called it the T2 gun. then spent 6 months complaining it was overpowered at range in a way no real shotgun would ever be. And you want to know who was actually buying the real ones at gun shows? Not collectors, not cowboy action competitors. People who wanted to own the moment. A cyborg on a Harley spinning a 100-year-old shotgun through a storm drain became the reason an obsolete Victorian lever action found a commercial market a century after Browning built it under protest. The Heritage Auctions listing for one of the screen-used hero guns, serial number 10,366, signed by Schwarzenegger, with original Stembridge gun rentals paperwork. Documents exactly what you now understand you are looking at. Custom aluminum barrel, cut pistol grip, modified loop lever, 27.5 inches overall. A gun John Moses Browning built because T.G. Bennett would not listen. A gun obsolete before the 1800s ended. A gun nobody was manufacturing when Cameron needed it. And the most iconic weapon moment in action cinema history. Bennett was wrong about the pump action. He accidentally helped create one of the greatest scenes in film history anyway. That is the most Terminator 2 thing about this entire story. If this changed how you see that storm drain scene the next time you watch Terminator 2, that is what this channel does. The next breakdown is already on your screen. Hit it now.